To another session of the coding rehearsals, and then today in this session we are going to take a look at one particular question. Well, it's basically as a result of the time crisis, and hence we will be going through a couple of questions today. All right. Okay, that was the intro. Did you like it? All right, so let's proceed, and then this is the question. Now we have a program, and then we are supposed to write a program. Okay, not to follow the display below, more or less to help us write something like this on the screen. Yeah. So it's raining, so that's how come we have this question. So the droplets over here, let's go to the question. Given that there is a function, which one called sends the insertion point or display controller, basically that's what I refer to the next line, and then the function is known as today the English is not good. The function is known as next line, right? So we have something like this. And so, yeah, you're supposed to write something from 0 to 99. Yeah, and then anytime we print from 0 to 9, we're supposed to get to the next line, and then we print up to 19, we go to the next line so we get to 99, right? So basically, that's the question. So how do we do it? Well, I know there are a lot of carpenters in here who are thinking of this method. So where in this question, we can ask ourselves this question. Do we need any input? No, we don't need any input. So basically, we can start with it. Have a variable x. And one capital will be like, oh, okay, let me start from x equals 0. And definitely I'm going to end when x is 99, right? Yeah. So I know there are some carpenters over here who are going to be thinking that way, but we don't do it that way. But anyway, let's do it the carpentry way and then. But before we do this, I want us to see something here. Let me cut this and then write this. Print name, where name is a variable, and then print sex. Yeah, yeah, sex and x, like, yeah. So print name and print sex. And after you print name and then you print sex, what will happen is if name had something like Robert, more or less my name, the moment you follow it with a comma, what you are saying is it is supposed to follow like sex, not sex. You understand me? Yeah. Sex is supposed to follow Robert. Hey, hey, like understand what I'm trying to say. More or less, you are printing the name, and then you are printing sex, like whether I'm a male or a female, not like sex following me. But it wouldn't be bad though. So Robert, comma sex, like the sex of Robert, which is basically a male. But like, yeah. So this is basically what will happen. Now, anytime you call the print function or the print, the command that's actually displaying something on the screen, it will display everything on one line, like nothing causes it to go to the next line. So the question now said that there is a function which is called next line, right? Next line. And when we call that function immediately the after any print statement, what it will do is instead of actually printing items on the same line, like imagine we had print name and then we call this, we are going to have print, wait, print sex, right? So we have print name and then we have print sex. This will actually do this. It will print Robert first, and then when it comes to printing the sex of Robert, then it is going to print this on the next line. So instead of it being on the same line and then printing, it's like what I showed initially. It's going to print it like this, like it's going to cause the insertion point, that thing that's blinking, the one that actually comes to screen. It's going to cause it to go to the next line and then that's basically the concept. Okay, so if you have this print name and then print sex without the next line, this thing is going to still be here. So they are going to write Robert and they are going to write M. That's basically my sex. Like, My sex is M. Yeah, M. Well, yeah. Let's proceed. So let's go back to this question. So basically, this question is trying to say that anytime we print zero, we print one, we print two, we print three, print four, five, six, seven, eight, and then nine. What we should do is we should tell the cursor, that thing that's blinking, not to print on the same line again, but rather it should go to the next line. That's basically what this thing is supposed to be doing. And so I know the carpenters are thinking of this method. So why not we start like this? Like write a 4. Usually I start my this one with a capital letter. Reserve words start with a capital letter, have a variable called x. And the variable is supposed to be started 0. Uh-oh. So I'm not supposed to be playing any song. Like, give me a second. Anyways, let's proceed. So we start from, maybe the song is still. Hold on. Windows. So we are back. I've stopped the music and yeah, stop the music. So we start from x equals 0 to x equals 99 because that's basically where we are ending. I'm going to demonstrate how the carpenters are going to do it. I mean, the carpenters amongst us, right? You don't think you're a carpenter, don't raise any protest. We are starting from small letter x equals 0 to 99. And so when we start, because I usually indent for us to know that the set of statements are under the one that the for loop. That's why I indent. If you think you don't want to indent, don't indent. You see. So basically, we have this. So the carpenters are going to be like, okay. So if we have access to the value of x, then why don't we print x? Okay, we print x. Yeah. So the moment we print x, then it means that it's going to print every x on the same line. Is that what you want? No, we don't want it that way. Well, x is not reserved, so yeah, don't want it that way. So the carpenter will be there, will be like, you let me end my 4 first, and then think of what to do next. Okay, wow. So they will come to the question, look at it again, and be like 0 to 9, 0 to 9, 0 to 9, 0 to 9. The one computer will be like, how about I set a counter. This is a carpenter, how a carpenter will be doing it. Set a counter. 0 to 9 is actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 items. So I set a counter outside here. And maybe the counter will be like 10 counter. Count 10. Well, some people have weird ways of naming their variables. Count 10. Well, 10. It'll be like count 10 is equal to 0. Yeah. When count 10 is equal to 0, then anytime I print my x, print my x, where is it? Anytime I print my x, yeah, I should increase the value of count 10. Count 10 to what? Yeah, count 10 plus 1, right? So when I increase count 10 plus 1, then yeah, anytime I print something, it's going to increase the value of count 10 plus 1. Then I want to go down the moment I've actually printed 10 items so that my next output will not be on the same line, but it will be on the next line. That's how a carpenter would more or less analyze it. When I talk about a carpenter, I'm not talking about the one that makes chairs. I'm talking about those who have weird ways of analyzing their stuff. But actually, it's good though. Yeah, we start from the layman point of view, which is the carpenter's point of view. And then now we go to maybe the appropriate one, right? So count 10 is equal to, so you are going to say if count 10 equal 10, it means that if I've actually printed up to 10, because when I start it's going to be 0, equal 10, then what I want to do is I want to end, no, I want to call the end line function. Hey, the next line. next line. So it should go to the next line. But before it goes to the next line, I want to set my count 10 to 0, right? If you know how to code, it means you are not a carpenter, right? So you might not be doing what I'm doing. This is only to more or less fit into the shoe of the one who analyzes like this. Okay, so if you understand how this thing goes, like just follow along. I'm saying that there is a function, just like you have a function for the sqrt and those things. The question said that assume that there is a function called next line, which when called will send the cursor, the one that displays on the screen, will send it to the next line, so that the display will actually be on the next line. It shouldn't be on the same line. Okay, so that's basically the concept. So in this case, what we are trying to do is when we call next line, we are expecting that our output will not all be on the same line, but our output will go to the next line the moment we've printed 10 items. And even if you don't understand my code, when you call this to be incremented +1 all the time, anytime you print 10 items, it's going to have the value 10 after it executes this one. And so we'll check, is the value equal to 10? If the value is equal to 10, call this so that the cursor will now go to the next line. If it is not equal to 10, it will never enter this block. That's basically the concept. Okay. And then mind you, we are doing algorithms, we are writing pseudocodes. We don't have any structure for writing anything at all. Take note. So the next line came from the question. If you are writing anything and then you come to write next line, well, you let me continue my something. So this is just for explanation, and then we got the next line from the question. It doesn't mean we use next line what we are going to. A pseudocode is just for this one, analysis, right? Structure of something. So this is basically what a carpenter would do. So let's more or less take a look at it over here. So we start from 0, we print 0, and then we print 1, we print 2, print 3, print 4, print 5, print 6, print 7, print 8, print 9. We've printed 10 items. So count 10 will be 10 actually. And then they're going to check, is count 10 equal to 10? If it's equal to 10, then the cursor should actually move to the next line so that the next set of outputs wouldn't be on the same line. Anytime we call print x, it prints on the same screen. So it's going to have 10 over here because the value continues from 9, right? And then 11, like that. This is a carpenter's way of doing stuff. Well, not a carpenter like the carpenter we know, but okay. You will still get the same output as we have here. But it's actually another way of doing it, which a lot of people don't like, but basically works just fine. So we've done loops, and so we can nest loops. Like nesting something means you're putting something inside something. So we have x starting from 0. Okay, let me talk about it this way. Since we have a loop and a loop, the loop. Since we have a loop and the loop actually prints some things from 0 to 9, and then the loop will also print something from 10 to 19, and will print from 20 to 29, like that. Like that's basically what it's going to be doing. So in this case, what we will have to do is when I was teaching, like when I was talking about summing something, I said that usually you know the stats, okay, and so if you know the stats, that's where you initialize your variable, okay, and then so I think the while loop I said something like this: initialize stats to 0, right? Initialize stat to 0, and then you come down. You're going to have something like while the value of stats is less than or equal to 10, and then you enter the while loop. You'll be like, okay, print stats, something like this. And when you print stats, you want stats to be equal to stats plus 1, like this. And then we end our while. So this was a loop. So with what we did over here, still explaining that question. So with what we did over here, uh, what we did was we knew about the value, the particular value that starts. Okay, and then we want to end at 9. That's why we made it less than 10. But basically, we can do it less than or equal to 9. So we are writing something for the first line. Okay. So what we are doing is we know the first item, and the first item starts at 0. And then because the first item starts at 0, that's basically where we initialize. So this is where we are ending. We are ending at when start is 9. If start is 9, print start. Okay, this is where we started, so it will print 0. So over here to print 0. When it prints 0, they will increase start, and then start will now be 1. They come, it's 1 less than 9. Yes, true, it's less than 9. Print 1, print 2, print 3, like that till we get to 9. When we get to 9, we knew of the stats, and then we definitely knew how to increase the value of the stats till it actually goes somewhere. We are going to bring the implementation over here. For a for loop can do the same stuff. Where we have x equals 0 to 9. And then all we'll be doing will be printing value of x. And when we are done, we end 4. Okay. We end 4. When we end 4, yeah, we've printed 0 to 9. But there's something we want to be doing. If this is how to actually print from 0 to 9, how about I want something to be happening? I know of the stats. Okay, take note of this. A program will not print 0, 10, 20 like that. Or it will not, this one, in this case, we want to print this way. I said a computer does these things from left to right, top to bottom. So it will print from here to this side. When it is done, then it will print from here to that side. The solution we did initially actually caters for it. But the best approach to use, especially to actually demonstrate to understand the stuff you are doing, is to use a nested loop. Okay, a loop in a loop. So a loop in a loop, what a loop in a loop now does is, anytime you have something like this, let me do this so you see. If we have a loop in a loop, so for y equals, let's say 0 to 10 or 0 to 9, let me make it 0 to 9. And then because it's in a loop, we have to end the one that's inside the outer loop first before we go to the outer loop. So this end 4 is for this one. If you have this, what this one means is when you start with your loop with your x being equal to 0, it will enter the x and then execute all the statements inside here, inside this whole block. Okay, so demonstrating the block, let me do it this way. This whole block, this is actually the block for the outer loop, but the block for the outer loop also contains another block that's for the inner loop. Okay, so this is a block for the outer loop. Inside the block for the outer loop, there's a block for the inner loop. Oops. Yeah, this is where the inner 4 is, right? Yeah, it's actually no fuel. Yeah. So this is basically it. We have a block when you enter for the outer x. So when x is 0, you will enter the block. Do whatever you want in a block. But there's another for loop that also has a body. Okay. So the body of the inner for loop is also going to be this. Alright, so if you have any questions, you put in the comment section. This is going to be the longest tutorial ever because it has to allow me to talk a little lot. I wanted it to be 10 minutes, but okay, so this block is going to be executed for every value of x that we have. But inside this block, we have another for loop. So it means that when we enter, we will execute and finish executing y equals 0 till we finish y equal 9, all for the value of this x over here. Okay, and then when we are done now, we will come to n4, but the n4 will make sure that x is increased, so x is going to be 1, and then we are going to move from 1 to 9 again. Okay, but when x goes to 9, we will come here, y is going to be equal to 0 to 9, and then we'll continue again and again till the value of x is now 9. We'll do y from 0 to 9, execute it as a loop before we now finish the whole stuff. So that's basically something like that we're going to be doing. So let's take a look at this one. This actually means that we are, how many minutes, Grant? 20 minutes. Wow. Yeah, I'm tired. So we are going to execute what is at this top here. When we are done, we'll do what's at the bottom here. When we are done, so we finally get to the 99, right? So come back here, and then come back here. What we'll do is, because I said that usually for a loop, if you know the external one, you set that in a variable, and then subsequently you will be generating the rest of the items from the external ones. So if we say we are executing one line and then we'll go to another, if we have the outer loop, then we can assume that the outer loops can have or can hold the values of the first numbers. So the first number over here is going to be 0, the next number is going to be 10, the next number will definitely be 20. So the initiative now is to loop from 0 through to 90. Okay, so to make it simple for you, you loop from 0 through to 90. The moment you loop from 0 through to 90, this is for another layman, like knowing so well that, okay, I'm going to be doing some stuff. So let me demonstrate it. I might use code to actually run it for you to see. So over here, we have a for loop. And anytime you meet a loop, you would have to finish whatever is in that loop before you now go to the next value of the outer loop. So in this case, when x is 0, we'll come here, start another loop that runs from 0 to 9. But I want us to take a look at something. What I want the loop to now do is move from 0 to 9 for every value of x being equal to 0. So I want to print, if I'm supposed to print 0 over here, then it means that it's going to print 0, it's going to print the value of, if I want to print the value of x, that's over here. Anytime I enter this loop for x, just like we've been having single statements inside this loop, we are going to have, okay, let me even ask, how many times is this inner loop going to run? It will run from 0 to 9. 0 to 9 is actually 10 times. So when I come here and I just say it is supposed to print x, it is going to print y equals 0. When y is actually equal to 0, it's going to print x. What's the value of x? Currently, x is 0. And then that's the only statement in the for loop. So it is going to increase the value of y, and y is going to be 1. When y is 1, it will enter the for loop again. And then the value over here is still going to say print x. But am I going to be printing x 10 times? Is that what I want to be doing? I think it's more that 10. But anyways, you understand what I'm trying to do. I don't want to print x 10 times. What I want to do is to take advantage of the fact that I can print items on one line, and then now when I am done, because you know that this loop actually loops from 0 to 9, which can help us to print 10 items, then why don't we make sure that we can tweak where the y starts from here and ends? We can tweak it so that it will be able to print, where is the value? To be able to print 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's for the first time that x is equal to 0. Okay, but we know that we are looping from 0 to 9. And so in this case, I have my x being equal to 0. So what can I do? Wait. What can I do over here? Which statement will I write over here to help me with the value of x be able to print 0 when x is 0 and y is also 0? And then what I can add 0 to 0, right? Yeah, basically. Actually, this 0 to 9 was something I brought in. Well, you know, a for loop will run the number of times that you instruct it. So I need it to run 10 times because I have 10 items over here. And for the first time, I want it to add my y value to my x value, right? So if it adds my y value to my x value, then it means that if I add 0 to, okay, so for those who are angry and confused, assume this thing was not there. We need something to be happening continuously while x is 0. Print on the same line. When we are done, then now we call next line over here. That is basically what I want to do. Next line. So it means I have to do some 10 items on the same line now. When I'm done, I call next line. When I call next line, then it will go to the next line. Okay. So basically, after printing 10 items, 1, 2, 3, 3. After printing 10 items, is it 10? 3, yeah, 5, yeah, 10. So printing 10 items, we go to the next line and then continue the same stuff. So basically, whatever I removed, I'm bringing it back, right? So follow me. So I need a loop that runs 10 times, and the loop that runs 10 times has to help me with an expression that will be able to print 0, 1, like that. And so the moment x moves to 1, then if I'm still moving from 0 to 9, then I can add my, hey, x will not move to 1. Actually, I need to call my step here. Step 10. So we are going to be stepping 10, 10. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you understand. You understand. Yeah. So if you don't understand, write it in the comment section. I'll have an updated, but it's the longest. I'm tired. Okay, so yeah, basically. So x plus y. So the moment you enter the loop while x was 0, x is ever continuously going to be 0. But you have an inner loop which also runs by itself. When it's running, it still knows that the outer x is 0. So I can add the value of my x to my y, and then it happens. So let's think of the time that x is 0 and y is also 0. Okay. When x is 0 and y is 0, it has 0, print 0. Yeah. But this loop is not yet done. Step 1. It's not yet done. So what's going to happen is it's going to step 1 and y is going to be 1. So it will be like, okay, add the value of y, which is now 1, to x. What is x? X is 0, so 1. And now they call step again. And then they add the value of step, which is now 2, the y, which is now 2, to x, like that. So it will go, I'll write anything. And then when it is done executing this for loop, when y is 9, it will call next line. Next line means that stop standing here, go to the next line, and it goes to the next line. And then now step has now been moved, like executed, and hence x is now 10. So x now becomes 10. Okay. When x is 10, what happens now is you are going to add the value of the current y. The current y starts at 0. So 0 plus 10 is actually 10. Hey, where is it? It's actually 10 down here. And then y will be increased, y will be 1. So we will have 1 plus 10, 11, like that. You understand? If you understand, we should end here. Basically, this is the whole stuff, right? Yeah.